It really starts with our individuals, of doing things, first of all, in our own life. The most important thing is not to put our head in the sand and get negative and say, I give up. Real action starts at home, of taking the steps of basic recycling, biking more, doing everything that we have to do within our personal lifestyles.
My name is Hannah, and I run this restaurant, and I've owned it for the past 20 years. And I'm a vegetarian. That's what I love and I want to share with everybody. A vegetarian lifestyle is a lot less hard on the environment than a meat-eating diet. So it's just, by the way, it just happens to be the way not to emit so much CO2. Well, we know the guy that brings us our organic vegetables. We actually know him. We've been to visit his farm. It's just outside Copenhagen. We like to get things that are produced close to where we are. The same goes for our eggs and milk. We're a small business, and we like to support other small businesses. So we try to find small dairies for our cheese and our eggs and our milk.
And the more we buy local, buy in season, rather than right now buying an apple from New Zealand, whatever your local fruit, or local potatoes, whatever. Getting your college to buy more local. Most of this is bringing about awareness. It's common sense.
We really live on oil. We eat oil. I mean, we eat oil in the sense that we catch a salmon in Norway, it flies to China to be deboned, and it flies to Minnesota to get eaten. We eat oil.
Any time that you buy food from a far distance away, you're also paying for transportation costs. And right now, because of the low cost of petroleum, you can in fact buy an apple from New Zealand and enjoy it. It's delicious. Those Braeburns are great. But ultimately, as we start counting the real cost of that apple, the actual energy cost of that, the amount of distance that that food molecule has to travel, you start to think of it a little bit differently. And perhaps paying local farmers in wages, that's also an investment in your local economy. And gives you not only a product that's similar in taste or quality or value, but it also is an investment in your ability to make yourself a little more independent.
Individuals can have an effect on the overall decision-making process through the lifestyles they choose to lead. Conversely, sustainability policies can influence how individuals behave. Smart city planning, which includes transportation networks and building development, is one such example.
Basically, right now we're standing on a street called Nørrebrogade, which don't even try to pronounce that, but it means Northbridge Street. And this is actually the busiest bicycle street in the Western world. There's about 38,000 cyclists every day back and forth towards the city. This street is actually quite well known in sustainable circles, in urban planning circles this last year or so, because we've done a number of tests on this street. We've doubled the bike lanes here. We've removed another lane of car traffic, doubled the bike lanes, simply because we have so many cyclists on this street. I always consider the bicycle sort of the ultimate symbol for sustainability in an urban theater like this. Wind turbines were very well known for that in Denmark, and they're beautiful as well. It's a symbol, but this is human-powered movement. This is mothers and children and office workers and doctors. Everybody's just riding their bikes. So it's the ultimate symbol for sustainability. I mean, one of the main things that I find interesting is that in a lot of countries, people think you need to have special clothes for cycling. Where if you see the cyclists here, who aren't cyclists, as I said before, they just went to their closet in the morning, opened it, and they took out some clothes. Anything you can walk in, you can cycle in, and this is really a key to mainstreaming it. You don't tell people you need to have. I don't need special clothes to vacuum my house. So I don't need special clothes to ride a bike. All you need is a bike, basically. So once you get over that sort of fetish stuff, I need to have all the gear, you'll mainstream it, and it'll be something for normal people. This is quite an interesting thing. This is rather new. This is a bicycle counter that the city of Copenhagen put in for two reasons. One is to track patterns. Okay, it's a bit chilly today, maybe it's raining. How many fewer people do we have? Actually, 80% of Copenhageners ride through the winter. So in the middle of a snowstorm, rush hour in a snowstorm, you're going to see more cyclists than you do in the entire Midwest of America, or maybe even more. But so what we do is, the other reason is that this is civic pride. None of us know that we have a fantastic bicycle culture here. You know, this is people who come and visit us and who want to hear about it, but we've demystified the bicycle. For us, it's a vacuum cleaner. We all have one, we all use it, we all, you know, have learned how to use it, but we don't think about it. It's just a quick way to get around town. We've actually made a green wave for cyclists, so that if you cycle on your bike 20 kilometers an hour, you'll hit green lights all the way in a 6-kilometer stretch. Cars still have to stop, but the bikes, you'll never put a foot down. And this has actually caused an increase in the number of cyclists on this street of 15%. Which is amazing. So, and the neighborhood's thriving. Everybody who lives here, they love the fact that the street has been sort of calmed for traffic. Buses fly through now, bikes fly through, pedestrians, everything. Well, historically, we've had bicycle lanes, bicycle infrastructure, you know, from the beginning of bicycle culture 1.0, as I call it. And then the car came into play in the 60s, and the number of cyclists here plummeted. We were effectively killing off our bicycle culture. And in the early 70s, we realized that we had to start resuscitating it, and we started rebuilding bicycle infrastructure. And this is what when we say bicycle infrastructure, it's the separated bicycle lanes that run alongside the roads. If you build this kind of network, you know, you're going to get grandmas on bikes, you're going to get mothers with children, fathers with children, you're getting, you know, lawyers in suits, whatever you want. Everybody's going to be able to do it because you have this. It's safer, and it's also the perception of safety. You know, you're not weaving in and out of cars. You have your own lane. Cycling around Copenhagen, it's simply the easiest way to get around town. When the city of Copenhagen, when we ask our cycling citizens why they choose the bicycle, 56% say it's easy and fast. It's simply the quickest way for me to get from A to B. 19% say, oh, it's good exercise. And I'm not talking sports, I'm just talking, I get my 30 minutes a day like they say I should. 1%, only 1% say that they do it because it's for environmental reasons. And that's not a bad thing. The point is that, you know, you have an enormous amount of people doing very, very good things for the environment, for creating a more livable city here in Copenhagen, for sustainability, but they're not even thinking about it. You've just given them the quickest way from A to B. And I call this A to B-ism. And this is simply, if you make the bicycle the quickest way to get around a city, any city in the world, everybody and their dog will get on board. The people who are so far to the right of what, you know, environmentalism will say, oh, I can get to work quick, you know, or I can get to school quick. Everybody will do it. And then we can reap the benefits as a society, you know, together of all the, you know, of having a cycling population, the health benefits, the lesser pollution, all these different things.
Three things really hit me about Copenhagen. One was the fact that it was attractive. It clearly was it was a city that people were proud of and were maintaining in a way that makes it very enjoyable to walk through the streets. Secondly, it was walkable. So being able to walk through the streets was very important. So having access to a variety of entertainment opportunities, shopping opportunities, all kinds of things, government offices and so on, all were available within walking distance or within a short bus trip. Thirdly, public transport. Having a very smooth transfer where you could go from bicycle to bus to train and be in a lot of different places very quickly and at a fairly low price. So having a seamless intermodal transportation network, I think, is very important for anybody who wants to contemplate building or further developing a town towards sustainability. If somebody else is driving the bus or driving the streetcar or the light rail or the monorail, you're able to enjoy the trip a little bit more. You don't have to pay attention to traffic, and you can interact with other individuals in the bus if you so choose. And it gets you there with a degree of predictability, so you can do something else, read, do your work, or whatever. And gets people moving, gets it done at a relatively low cost. People don't have to invest in individual cars and incur the costs that you have to maintain a vehicle. But if I had to make an argument to a city council, I would say primarily that becoming more sustainable does definitely save you money.
Get your town council to put in light-emitting diode traffic lights. Those are the little pointy dotty ones. They use much less energy. Get them to get rid of the big clunker SUVs in their city's fleet and replace them with hybrids. There are a lot of things you can do. So that's thinking locally. Get the city council to have education groups so that the community understands what they can do when they remodel their house, why the building codes need to be more stringent, double pane and triple pane windows and better insulation, and installing efficient lights and requiring air conditioners and heaters to be the highest efficiency available models. All of that can be done by building codes, and that can take place at a local scale, and it can produce reduced greenhouse effects right now. And if you do it right, you actually make money doing it because you save enough energy, it pays back the extra cost of the more efficient products that you put in. And there's a lot of literature which calls that no regrets.
Today, 40% of energy consumption in modern society is used in buildings. We can actually make buildings that are so energy efficient that just by adding a solar panel or other means of renewable energy, we can have buildings that produce more energy than they consume. We as building owners, when we buy a house, then we don't just think about the upfront costs, because if we buy the cheapest solution, it will be expensive in the long run. We have to think that a house can be there for 50 years or 100 years, so this is a long-term investment. So invest a little extra, perhaps 3 to 5 or 10% extra in a better home, and you will have a more comfortable home, but you will also have a home with a lower energy cost, and it will be easier to sell if you're going to sell it. So if you make a long-term investment and if you're a visionary, then you can actually be better off, also economically. We see climate change and CO2 reductions as an opportunity.
The government's role in this is to give us the framework, to give us the legislation and the laws that we can operate in.
Lifestyle changes, city planning, and policy are important in achieving the goal of a more sustainable city. An example of this combination can be seen in the Samsø project.
Samsø first is an island in the middle of Kattegat, which is central in Denmark, situated approximately 20 kilometers off the coast of both coasts from the central parts of Denmark. The island project is a national project sent out from the Ministry of Energy in 1997 to find a demonstration or an exhibition window of Danish energy technology and know-how and see if we can make a full-scale development of a community based on renewable energy sources. In the beginning, people thought it was an alien project to the island. They thought that this is maybe changing my lifestyle, this is maybe changing my economy. So a lot of people kind of resisted a little bit, saying that that's fine, you can do that, but leave me out of it. Well, today everybody's pretty proud of the project. I think if you make a survey on Samsø on the island and ask the islanders what they think about the island project, they'd probably say, most of them, that's good for the island. It's provided some good jobs and good local economy and gave us green energy and clean energy also. And kind of a positive side effect is that we are now a famous project also, and a lot of people come and visit us, which means something for the tourist industry, for the businesses on Samsø, and for the reputation in general. Most of the people on the island has changed their heating systems, has bought shares and wind turbines, has kind of modified their electricity system, have refurbished their houses and insulated better, changed the windows and all these sort of things, and done a little bit each and every one. Which means that we today are more than 100% self-supplied by renewables, which is good. And I mean, the islanders kind of can see what's in it for me, kind of, and they have kind of accepted this fact, and they do what is profitable, both in the ideological way, but also financially. This can be done. You can activate the public level of activity by talking to people, by inviting them to participate in the planning and the organization structure, and finally also invite them as co-investors of the project in the you could say registered co-op organization structure.